Those dividend checks look pretty good this season for you shareholders. We're on to the cheesiest team.
Who's ready to show who's the cheesiest?
I woke up feeling the cheesiest, coach.
Number 6, the Green Bay Packers. And let's start off with the meat and potatoes, the gravy, the way it flows. You got to have a good offensive line, and they have a good one. Let's start with the tackle position, which I rank at number 8 in the NFL. Rasheed Walker is a little banged up right now. Jordan Morgan's been able to fill in nicely. You got Zach Tom at the other end at right tackle. Anthony Bell figures to be a redshirt season for him as he learns and develops, but I already like him a ton, man. That dude is just mashing over dudes in the run game. Super strong, super powerful. Anthony Belton definitely has a real chance at being a starter down the line for this football team. And besides that, those are going to be your main 2 swing tackles going into the season. And I feel like they're in a good spot just keeping 4 tackles on the interior. The guard position does become a little bit more of a question mark for me, and that's really the biggest weakness on this offensive line, and that's okay. Like, you got good tackles, you got good center. You got Aaron Banks here at left guard, who they got in free agency, paid a little bit much in my opinion, but that is what it is. And Banks is a solid player. He can definitely add some more run blocking oomph to this offensive line. Sean Ryan at right guard. Jordan Morgan I list there because he can also play on the interior in case of injuries. Donovan Jennings figures to be their other backup guard. Unfortunately, they've already dealt with some injuries right now. You got Travis Glover, who's injured and is out for the year likely. John Williams could be out for a good amount of time as well. So, and Khadeeb Telford figures to be another guy who's going to be competing. I would guess that they keep at least 10 offensive linemen. It wouldn't shock me if they keep 11. Center-wise, Jacob Munt will be their main backup. He did have a bit of a rough game there playing guard and whatnot. Still trying to develop. That was more of his debut anyway, so let's give him a little bit of a break there. You got Elton Jenkins, who figures to be the locked-in starter at the center position, looking pretty good, and that's why I ranked that at 9 in the NFL. Jenkins has been solid everywhere he's been. The offensive line in general should be pretty good and ultimately a strength of this football team. Wide receiver-wise, 22. It's one that it's desperately calling out for a number 1 wide receiver. Who can that be? Is that going to be Matthew Golden, right? Ooh, they need it. And it's a perfect name, too, for the Green Bay Packers. That if you figure when they would draft a wide receiver in the first round, it just everything had to align, right? It had to be the perfect name. It had to be the perfect process for Matthew Golden, the golden, cheeseheads out here. So it is what it is. And you got Romeo Doubs, Jaden Reed, Christian Watson is out likely for a good chunk, if not the entirety of this season. Drops have been a big key for this football team. Definitely is going to improve on that. Hopefully this season we'll get better in that area. And, this preseason too, we need to build on that. Dontavian Wicks, he is a really, really good wide receiver. It's just he has struggled so much with drops. You got Savion Williams as he grows and develops. You got Malik Heath. I would guess that Heath ends up making the roster over Mecole Hardman. However, that's something where they might say, we got those veteran guarantees out here. We'll go ahead and give him the deal and whatnot. And Cornelius Johnson is another guy I think that has a real chance of making the roster, especially for special teams purposes. And then you got other guys like Shepard, Brown, and Hicks. Those are going to be more practice squad candidates, in my opinion. So the wide receiving room's got to show something this year, but they are well-rounded. They've got a lot of unique skill sets. And as long as they can stay healthy, I know Jaden Reed's also in a bit of a walking boot right now, so that's something to keep an eye on as well. Tight end-wise, though, they are in a really good spot here. I rank it at 15. It's above average in the league. You got 1-2 punch that is really, really good. I'm a huge, huge Tucker Kraft fan, and that guy, man, once again, it's just the Kraft singles. They got to draft the names. Like, come on, this is like perfect. It is what it is. So he's even got his own thing there, which for good reason. Luke Musgrave as your backup. Let's see more out of him, and him just getting healthy will be huge for this football team as a 1-2 punch. Those two guys could be a really good combo. John Fitzpatrick, more of their blocker, right? Ben Simmons could make the roster if they want to keep 4 tight ends. Another guy, is Swanson. That guy can block his butt off. So, and Lampkin's definitely a guy who could be a practice squad candidate as well. So it depends on what they want to do. And I think Swanson's going to be keeping on track with Fitzpatrick for that blocking position. Overall, tight end room looks very good. Running back room also looks very good. You got a stud with Josh Jacobs. Marshawn Lloyd getting healthy is going to be huge for this football team as a receiving element. Not that Josh Jacobs can't do that. However, that just adds another element into this offense. Emmanuel Wilson, of course, is a tough-nosed runner. Can be a great backup behind Josh Jacobs. Chris Brooks figures to be more of the special teams ace for this football team. Amir Johnson, though, hey, dude, that guy can play, so watch out for him. He looked pretty dang good in the preseason so far. and certainly has a chance to make this roster. And if nothing else, he could be a great emergency practice squad candidate that they pull upon in case of injuries. On to the quarterback position. I rank it at 14th. Jordan Love. I love him. I think he's going to have a bounce back year. I mean, it wasn't bad last year, just a little bit of inconsistent. They also had inconsistencies in general on this football team. I think Jordan Love, though, is a good quarterback and certainly can be in the conversation at top 10 after this season. You got Malik Willis, figures to be the main backup, and I think they only keep 2 quarterbacks. I don't see any real reason for them to keep 3. So, I mean, I guess Clifford can be their emergency quarterback on the practice squad. Like, that's really all that I think that they need to do. I mean, it's a big season for Jordan Love, and hopefully he can get back to what he looked like in his first season as a starter when he, at the end of the year, right, that was like his best moments and getting forward back to that. And I still saw a lot of that last season too. So I'm not pushing the code red. I think Love is a good quarterback. Defensively wise, the defensive line, it's a room that I want to see improve this year. I want to see some bounce back out of guys like Kenny Clark, who I'm hearing is having a really good training camp so far, and he looked the part too in the preseason. I think he's got more of an explosive burst back to his game. Rashawn Gary, same thing. I want to see a little bit more from Rashawn Gary. Got to step up and be that guy that we saw and we know from Rashawn Gary. Now, Lucas Van Ness off the edge. He is a guy that also can play a little versatility, can play a little 5-tech for them, can play, of course, edge rusher, especially if they want to roll out Brenton Cox or a Barron Sorrell. Like, those guys can play off the edge, and Lucas Van Ness can play on the interior. Van Ness gives you some versatility, and he's another guy that's been having some standouts in camp so far. So the Van Ness monster, Rashawn Gary, Barron Sorrell, draft pick, of course. He stayed there. He was like, hey, I'm going to stick here. I'm going to wait until I get on the podium. And, I was a pretty cool moment there in the NFL draft. Brenton Cox, though, figures to be, I mean, personally, I would say you keep 6 guys. And there's a good chance that Colin Oliver is going to be out for the year anyway. So that would only be 5 in general. I would keep at least 5 edge rushers. So Kingsley Enagbare would be another rotational player for them with Brenton Cox and Barron Sorrell this season. Merritt Mosley is another guy that's special team. So if they want to keep 6 and Colin Oliver is on season-ending IR, then Mosley would be the other guy that I would say has a real good chance, especially for special teams purposes, since he's really good in that department. On the interior-wise, Kenny Clark, Devontae Wyatt to your starters. It comes down to the depth here. Of course, Carl Brooks, I think he can have a bit more. I'm going to see more like what we saw in his rookie season. Colby Wooden, he's going to be fighting to make a roster spot with Warren Brinson and Nazir Stackhouse, both draft picks for this football team. Stackhouse, if they want to keep 2 nose tackles, because I figure Clark's going to be their main nose tackle, and Nazir Stackhouse could be the other main nose tackle on this football team. So it just kind of comes down to, do they keep 2 nose tackles? I would say, personally, I would do that. I think Stackhouse can really be a nice depth piece behind Kenny Clark, especially with Kenny Clark where he's at in his career. You want to make sure you're rotating him in there and so keeping him fresh. Warren Brinson can also be a 1-tech, a nose tackle in case, and he's got some strength to his profile as well. Those 3 guys, they'll be interesting to see between Brinson, Stackhouse, and Wooden, how they go about that and who they want to keep. My guess is they keep about 5 guys, so one of those dudes could be on the outside looking in, maybe in the practice squad sort of candidate. The defensive line definitely got to prove something this year. Okay, that's one thing I will say. Jeff Hafley's been creative. He's got like a 3-4 base defense he runs out there. I think they use their linebackers too really well to get after the quarterback, but the pressure, getting consistent pressure is going to help out the secondary, which we'll talk more about in a minute. Linebacker-wise, it's a very good one. It's a dynamic one. This could be a top 5 linebacking core after this season very easily. Quay Walker, been a little inconsistent throughout his years. I thought he had a pretty good season, though, last year. Edwin Cooper had an amazing season as a rookie. You got Tyron Hopper. Let's see more of Hopper. I can't wait to see that. You got Isaiah McDuffie, who's been a very solid player, good run defender, great special teamer, all those sort of things. Isaiah Simmons, he's more of that Swiss Army knife, right? Can play a little everywhere on the defense. And I know Jeff Hafley's looking to get creative with Isaiah Simmons. And those 5 guys, to me, figured to be the main core for this football team. Now, if they want to keep 6, which is something that Gutekunst even has talked about, and I was like, hey, maybe we should keep 6 linebackers, then Christian Welsh would be the other guy, especially for special teams purposes. Don't count out Jamin Dumas Johnson, a guy that I like a lot. I think he has a real chance, so we'll see how things work there with Dumas Johnson. On to the cornerback room, which I have this ranked at 24th in the NFL. They got a lot of slot corners in this room, which is interesting. But at the same time, they're going to get creative with this. And I list Javon Bullard here at slot. I also list him at safety because they're going to interchange these guys. And remember, like Valentine could end up playing on the outside, and then you can move Nixon or Hobbs into the slot. And yeah, totally get creative with this. You got Bo Melton, a great storyline too. He's transitioned to more of a corner role. Not to say that he couldn't play wide receiver still. and I could list them there as well. But ultimately, like Bo Nix, or Bo Melton, Bo Nix, Bo Melton here at the corner. Like, Bo Nix, when did he start playing corner for this football team? That sounds a little bit funny. But Bo Melton, I'm really excited to see how he looks, and if they need to call upon him as that fourth, fifth corner there with Carrington Valentine. Now, who is going to be the other corners that they keep? Because my guess is they're going to keep around 6. You're looking at something between Corey Ballantyne and Kamal Hayden. Those are the guys that I'm going to be keeping a close eye out on. It depends if they feel confident with Ballantyne's health. That is going to be the big question, because I think he would be the favorite, and then maybe Hayden is a practice squad sort of candidate. That's really where it's at right now for me at the moment. But once again, we'll have to see how that shapes up. For right now, though, Melton and Valentine figure to be their main 2 backups on the roster. On to the safety room here, which is a very, very good one. It's the cornerback room, a little bit of concern if I had to guess on the defense. It's mainly because, too, I want to see how the, pressure-wise and stuff like that. But the safety room will really help out the cornerback room. You got Xavier McKinney, one of the best, if not the best safeties in the NFL. Evan Williams was amazing as a rookie. You got Javon Bullard, as I mentioned just before, who will play a little bit of both. You got Kitten Oladapo, I like there from Oregon State. And then you got some other guys out here, which Omar Brown, I would not let him go to waivers. No way. That dude has been making plays all day whenever he gets opportunities out there in camp. So Omar Brown, I'd keep him even if they have to over Zane Anderson. Now, Anderson has a good chance of making this roster. He gives them some good depth as well. And my guess is they're going to keep 4 to 5 safeties. So I would just say keep 5 if you have to. Make sure you're keeping Omar Brown and Kitten Oladapo, both guys that I feel can be good, solid backups for this football team. And in a pinch for injuries, you got to make sure you have some depth out here. But their safety room looks really good. Coaching staff, I know this seems a little bit low, and it might be, honestly. I think it's a good coaching staff. So Matt LaFleur has been really, really good. And the more I think about this, I'm talking to myself into putting, like, to me, this feels like a top 10 coaching staff. But just kind of the way I went through the rankings, when you get into that 7 to 15 range, it was challenging for me. Like, honestly, it was really challenging. So I could totally see this being anywhere in that range. It's kind of the way the tiebreakers fell out for me. Jeff Affley looked good on the defense side. Aaron Stenovich is the former offensive line coach. He's been good there as the OC. Matt LaFleur, like I mentioned, a really good coach. So I think this is a really good room. I would not be worried about it. For me personally, it's a great coaching staff. So my record prediction here, I got them going 12-5. This is a team that I seriously could see winning the Super Bowl. It would not shock me in the slightest. Of course, it comes down to injuries and stuff like that. And for me, if you say, well, why did they not win the Super Bowl? Why do I not have them in there? It comes down to, can the defensive line bounce back? That secondary, there's some question there for me in terms of the cornerback room. On the offense side of the ball, how does that wide receiving core gel right away? Can they, avoid some of those drops and mistakes and whatnot? So, there's that. Of course, Jordan Love, having a good season is going to be critical for this football team. And I think he will have a really good season. So those are just a couple of things. If you say, what holds them back from being the number 1 or the number 2 team on my rankings? It's just those question marks, but it's a very good football team and a good coaching staff. So I fully expect them to be competing. Let me know what you think, though, Green Bay Packers fans or any fans of football. Where are you vibing with this Packers Cheesehead team? Hope you guys have a good day, though. My name's G Sling. I'm doing my thing. I hope you do too.